All right, welcome to the franchise time machine. Make sure I got everything set up here. All right, so tonight we're originally going to do another experiment, walk and pitch around sliders. Specifically, we're going to test whether pitch around, or sorry, whether intentional walk, um, the AI would apply intentional walk to high contact hitters, not just high power hitters. But then I was out watching my kid's soccer practice, and oh no, it was earlier than that. And I saw that Pete Rose had passed away, Major League Baseball all-time hits leader, Pete Rose, and thought about whether or not to do a sim around Pete Rose. A couple of things in the against column. He's banned by Major League Baseball, um, but he's still in the base game. He's still not, I guess, on the naughty list for perfect team. So from a baseball perspective, it seems like, someone you can't really ignore. Um, Especially when you look at the longevity and the of his career and some of the quality of the seasons, I think gets overlooked because of the longevity, but there's some amazing seasons in there. Um, but not just around the gambling, but I think there are quite a few issues around him as a person. But I decided in the end, um, that it's worth acknowledging the career at least. And so I'm going to do a sim where we're going to put uh, 14 versions of Pete Rose onto the 2023 Reds, and we're going to do the 10-pack giveaway based on that. We're going to have people guess how that team will perform and how the different Pete Roses will perform. So I've already started on the 10-pack giveaway form. Let's get that up here. All right. So the crazy thing is, usually when I do one of these sims, it's like the first, because for a batter especially, you need 14 seasons, right? 14 different versions of the player, and the first 7 or 8 usually, especially like the types of players that we pick for this. I first 5 or 6, no problem. Usually 7 or 8, even no issue. But you start to get to around 10, it gets pretty tough to find good seasons. So you're like, okay, but every team needs a bench. But it's crazy how much black ink there is on his profile. So um, the black ink is basically anytime someone leads the league in a statistic, you get bold bold text, and if you lead the majors, you get bold italicized text. So let's just pull that up. I just had it up, but I had to reboot. So let's put BREF up here for a second. All right, here you go. A lot of black ink. Now, I mentioned the longevity. There's also the durability, right? A lot of the black ink is around games and plate appearances and at bats, but you can't deny how much black ink there is around hits, runs, doubles. batting average, on base percentage. Um, Doubles in particular, I think it's really easy to forget how hard it is to have a 40 or 50 double season. I think there's a reason Albert Bell's the only one with a 50-50 double 50 home run season. Like it's tough to do. 50 home runs is tough to do. 50 doubles is tough to do. It's really hard to do them both. Right, so even if you just take his 200 hit seasons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're already at 10, and we need 14. And then if you add the ones that he led the league but didn't hit 200, you're at 11, 12. You already have almost a full roster. Um, and then if you add in, let's see, 200. Okay. Well, here's one where he didn't hit 200 hits or lead the hits, but he had 51 doubles, led the majors. 13 led the league in doubles, right? 14. You don't have to like dip too low to get to 14 seasons. Um, so I probably take from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You can just take 14 straight seasons pretty much. But then you miss out this 1979 season where he hits 331 with 418 on base percentage. So do you drop one in between? I mean, this 74 season is not great. He hit under 300. Sub eight. Okay, so maybe we'll do that. We'll go 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73. We'll skip 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79. That's 14 seasons. Now we do miss the strike season, major league hit leading season, 325, 781 OPS. But I think for the sake of simplicity, 65 through 79 minus 74. We'll do that. But let's get the pack giveaway form up first. So those are the seasons. I wanted to just pick the seasons so that people would know kind of what we're guessing on here. Now I added this little disclaimer here. Normally with you these, I add enough position flexibility so that they can play their position. But when we do the import, we're going to import base fielding ratings on entire career. Hey, Fine WV, welcome. You missed the start. I was just talking about Pete Rose and how it's kind of a complicated decision whether or not to do this. He's banned by baseball. He's done some not so great things. He, in particular, when asked about a statutory rape accusation, his response was like among the worst non-denial denials I've ever heard. Um, but in the end, I decided you can't deny the baseball career, and so that's what we're simming is the baseball career. And so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Um, I'm not going to put him on the Mets. I'm going to keep him at arm's length. I'm going to put him on the Reds. I'm going to put 14 Pete Roses on the Reds. I was just picking out which 14 seasons. Um, yeah, not a great person, but a great baseball player. Exactly. And it's crazy how much black ink he's got. I think maybe the part you missed flying WV is I was saying, I think because of the longevity of his career, it's easy to overlook how high the peaks were during his career. Um, there's some really good seasons here. Like not good, really amazing seasons in here. And it's very rare that I have plenty of seasons to pick from trying to get to 14 because there's 14 slots that we need to fill. So we're going 65 to 79, and we're just going to skip 74. So it'll be a pretty easy import. Now, the one rule I wanted to call attention to before you fill out your pack giveaway forms is normally I add position flexibility when we do this because, one player historically will not have played every position. But he played infield, he played outfield, he played second base, he played first base. So he'll have enough ratings, I think, that we don't have to add much. The only thing that's going to be difficult is probably catcher. And I just put this note here that I'll add minimal catching ability only if the simulation won't run without any catchers on the team. If it does run, factor that into your guesses that there's going to be a starting catcher and a backup catcher that are Pete Roses that don't have catching um, in their profiles. So just be aware of that. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward. I did think about making Ray Fosse the catcher, but I didn't want to do that to Ray Fosse. Ray Fosse's the catcher that Pete Rose ran over in the All-Star game, pretty much. I don't know that it. I don't know that, but it definitely changed the trajectory of it. I mean, he was never an All-Star again. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. I'll go over the questions real quickly in case, partly to just check my work, but as always, please make sure the user ID is case sensitive. So make sure capitalization is correct. So the first few are what we always ask. Will this team make the playoffs? Will this team make it to the World Series? Will it win the World Series? So it's the 2023 Reds. If you're wondering, I'm wondering now, what was the actual record of the 2020? Pull it up in here. All right, the 2023 Reds were 82 and 80. Let me just add that in here. Hmm. So add that into the question. Will they make the playoffs? Will they make it to the World Series? And will they win the World Series? And we have a bunch of kind of stat questions. Will a Pete Rose, there'll be 14 of them, will a Pete Rose lead Major League Baseball in hits? Like the actual hit leader was in 23 was Acuna Jr. with 217. Will a Pete Rose lead Major League Baseball in batting average? And I'm going to put here must be this is just to account for um, any versions of Pete Rose that didn't have enough plate appearances to qualify. To show up on that stats page, the stat leaders page, you have to qualify, so that'll cover that. Will a version of Pete Rose lead the majors in doubles? And will a version of Pete Rose lead the majors in runs? And then of the top eight major league leaders in hits, how many will be Pete Rose? Of the leaders in batting average, how many will be Pete Rose? And then some number questions. We always like to end with a couple number questions. How many hits by the Pete Rose are the most hits? And what is the batting average of the Pete Rose of the highest batting average? So I think it looks good. So I'm going to let me put the slide back up. The form is already open before Max chimes in. It's been open for since I started drafting the questions. And here is, I'm going to pin it in the chat. All right, go ahead and get your guesses in. Now, Monday night, I know, especially with Dr. Dynastic off and Ezra is, I think, almost always off on Mondays. Uh, Saturdays and Mondays are kind of our quiet nights here in the stream. So this might be, if you're in the chat, this is going to be one of your best chances to win packs. All right, so let's pull up the base game. Oh, no, wait, you know what? Before the base game, we need to build our importing roster. So we're going to open Notepad for that. You can use any text program for this. I use Notepad. Anything that can generate a TXT file, a text file, will work. All right, so here's what we're going to be generating. It's going to look like this. Let me show you what we're. Right, this is one I did for a Mets save. It's the player ID, the year that you're importing, and then the destination. I always use FTM for franchise time machines, so I don't have to worry about where I'm importing it to. I don't have to ever worry about editing this file. I just change the destination to FTM. If I want to change it back to something else afterwards, that's fine. Once the import's done, it doesn't matter. But we're going to have a version of this, but all the player IDs are going to be the same because it's going to be Pete Rose. So let's go back to Pete Rose. So I'll show you the reason I look up players in Baseball Reference. Right, if you look at the top here in the URL, these letters ROSEPE01, that's the player ID in Baseball Reference. It's also the player ID in OOTP. Now, it's ROSE only because Pete Rose has a four-letter last name. For any longer name, it's the first five letters of the last name, the first two letters of the first name, and then 01 if they're the first player in the database with that letter set, and then it counts up if there are others. So you might get an 02 or an 05, right? Depending on how many other players have had that letter combination before. So we're going to create a new version of this, a blank version, and we're just going to paste in that player ID. And then we said we wanted 1965 through 1979. We're going to skip 1974. All right. And then we're going to send it to the FTM roster. Now we can just copy this and paste it to, oops, three. Actually, let's just take all three of these and copy those. 6, 9, 12, 15. We only need 14. Oops. But now we have to edit the year. So we need 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73. I think 74 is the one we're skipping. Yeah, 74 is the one we're skipping. 75, 76, 77, 78, 79. Yeah, we'll miss that really good 81 strike shortened year, but I think this is good enough. Actually, maybe we'll skip 71 and replace it with 81. This is 71. Barely hit 300, didn't clear 800 OPS. 24th in All-Star voting versus 81. Hit 325, was leading the majors in hits. 781 OPS, 10th in MVP voting. And I mean, that's a pretty good stat line for a 40-year-old. So we'll do 81. We'll replace 71 with 81. So in the roster file, we'll just take this 71 and make it an 81. Doesn't have to be in order. Doesn't have to be numerical order at all. So that's fine. And then I just have to save this. Pete Rose. Pete Roses. Okay. So this roster file now is all we need to import the versions of Pete Rose into the game. Oh, I want to adjust the pitching rotation here. Oh, did I get knocked out of? I was in around the horn in the dark. Let me see where I am in here. Looks like I got knocked out. I think I made it to the quarterfinal the last I looked. Oh, made it to the semifinal. Got knocked out by Central Kentucky Pirates. This team knocks me out of a lot of stuff. Oh, Flying WV, you're in tomorrow? That's awesome. You know what? Let's go ahead and sign up for that now. Oh yeah, check this out though. I saw one of the was it this one? No, there's an even better one. I mean, that's a crazy win percentage graph. Clay Dog never signed up early enough to get into that one. The other late night ones are much easier to get into. Um, so check this out. My team scored six in the bottom of the ninth to tie it at eight. 6 runs in the bottom of the ninth to tie it 8-8. Scoreless in the 10th. They score one in the top of the 11th. We score two in the bottom of the 11th to win it. 6 runs down, we tie it. 1 run down in extras, and we walk off to win it. But that wasn't the. Oh, maybe that was the good one. There was another. I think there was another crazy extra inning game. Oh yeah, here's another one. We scored one. We scored two in the bottom of the 7th and one in the bottom of the ninth to tie it at 13, and then we walk it off in the bottom of the 10th. That was a crazy series. If y'all don't mind, let me do two things here. I am also going to get into that around the horn. That way, maybe Flying WV and I will play each other. All right, I'm in. The other thing I want to do is I wanted to set my. I'm in this nearly perfect overnight. I didn't set the pitching staff yet. Flying WV is focusing a lot on bronze do or die quick turnies. Oh, you messed up your roster yesterday. Changed your pictures around, changed it back and wanted turning. Oh, that's awesome. That's great when you do a roster reboot and it actually helps. This is one of those things where I started making the changes, but it was that time in between when the drafting closes and before it actually fires, and you actually can't make changes, or your changes won't save. It's kind of annoying. Clay Dog, the form for tonight's pack giveaway is in the pinned in the chat. So if you want to fill that out, it's we're bringing 14 Pete Roses onto the 2023 Reds. Yeah, I don't know if Smiley Face Jane's in. I never know until I look to see who's submitted. Okay. All right. Thanks for bearing with y'all. I just wanted to get that done before I forgot. All right, so we're going to start a new game. We don't have a quick start for the 2023 Sims, do we? I don't think we do. I should do one just so that um just so that all like the little setup stuff we do is already done. We don't need minor leagues. We don't need expansion. Just so it's quicker every time somebody dies. That's cold, man. That is cold. Even colder than I laughed at it, I guess. Although I don't just do this when people die. I also do it when they retire. Uh, I intend to do it when they do something amazing. I actually should have done one when Otani went 50-50, but you're right. I have mostly done it when people have died. That's true. I also do it when Sporer drops an interesting card in Twipt. All right, Pete Roses. I didn't realize the Reds were a 500 team last year, 82 and 80. All right, we're going to be the Reds this time. And let's go to the roster. Yeah, that's right. Pete Rose cannot fix their pitching. That is true. Should we take a look at that real quick? Let's look at their pitching staff here. I got one 4-star pitcher, several sub 50 home run rates, a lot of 50 home run rates, pretty bad control across the staff. Wow. Can I populate this as real life pitching stats? I don't think so. But yeah, not an outstanding pitching staff by any means. All right, here's their lineup. Oh, they only went 13 in their lineup. Interesting. Looks like in 2023, Clay Dog says they only had 3 pitchers who threw more than 10 innings at an ERA below 4. Well, ERA below 4 these days is kind of a tall order, I guess. Here's what we'll do. Since we picked 14, and they're all relief pitchers. Okay, that's a little rougher. Um, I'm going to expand their roster size to 27 so they can keep their pitching staff. Hey, D Block, we're doing 14 Pete Roses added to the 2023 Reds. And the pack giveaway form is pinned to the chat if you want to enter in, join in the fun. All right, so coaching off, injuries off, suspensions off. Player development off, development lab off. What page roster sizes to 27 so that we can add all of our 14 Pete Roses. Oh, I should have had you guys guess how many Pete Roses would make the All Star game. That would have been interesting. Quick question. They're not on the Mets. They'd all make it. That's funny. Flying WB. Speaking of the Mets, spoiler alert, the Mets made the playoffs today. I don't know if y'all watched that first game. So basically, if the Mets and Braves split today, they both made the playoffs. And if one team swept, then the Diamondbacks would get in. And in game one, it was like I was like, oh, Mets gonna Met. They blew a lead. They got they came back. They took the lead, and then in the top of the bottom of the eighth, they lost the lead again. I was like, oh, here we go. But amazingly, got the lead back in the top of the ninth and hung on a win. And then after that, I didn't care because we were in. Had it on while doing schoolwork. It was distracting. Yeah, it was. It was. I also was working in quotation air quotes. Did not get much work done, but fortunately, I'm my own boss, so I uh I let myself slide in that one. All right, let's do the manager settings while we're in here and mailbox settings. So D Block, I don't know if you've heard me talk about this, but you were absolutely right that the mailbox settings and the manager settings do not get saved as part of the quick start, which I think is a big miss. I think it might be a bug actually. There's no reason why you wouldn't want those things to save as part of a quick start. All right, so let's go ahead and delete out these players. And oh yeah, we need to temporarily change their under league structure. We're going to temporarily change the Reds abbreviation to FTM so uh, they can take the import. Diva says today's the first time since the bad news bears that you'll cheer for the Astros. All right. All player creation and importation takes place in the free agent screen. We're going to import historical players, historical database. Now, up here is where you can enter players one at a time, but you'll notice it doesn't give you an option of where to send them. They end up in the free agent pool, which can be messy trying to recapture. So instead, we're going to use this text file, and I called it Pete Roses. Uh, Base fielding ratings on entire career. This will give us the most flexibility position wise. I don't think there are any short seasons in there, but just in case, I always take these down. These are the thresholds at which the game will nerf your players' attributes based on short seasons or small sample size. And then we just hit import players, and they should make sure I got this right. Remaining years of career. Oh wait, base punch ratings on peak seasons of career. Okay. All right, so we go back to the Reds. There we go. They're all there. Let's see what these ratings look like. Check out these contact ratings 80s, 75s. We've got a 90 above beyond rating BABIP here, 80 avoid K. Now, Pete Rose does fit the profile of the type of player that does not necessarily sim well in OOTP. Um, the guys where a lot of their value comes from contact, and contact that involves pretty high avoid K. I don't think that profile does as well in the Sims as they probably should. So I'm talking about like your Tony Gwynns, your Ichiros, your Pete Roses. I think they get cheated a little bit by the way the simulation engine works. But anyway, one of the things we do when we do this is we're gonna go in, and for each version of Pete Rose, we're going to put what year this is from. And you can see here, historical year 1968. This is a 1968 Pete Rose. And it won't save it until we hit enter. So we're going to hit enter each time. And then you can arrow down to go to the next player in the roster. Hit enter and then arrow down. This one's a 1973. This one's a 1981. This is a 1965. Clay Dog letting D Block know that he's still running a 4-man rotation. Is that left over from your playoff run, D Block? That's very nice of you, Clay Dog. So this arrow down, I'm glad I talked through this. I always do that in case someone watching that has not done stuff in the base game much before or is new to editor. But I've had more than one person tell me either in chat or in Discord that either things like the hitting enter thing or the arrowing up and down through the roster is one that's come up a few times that people didn't realize you could do that. So I'm very happy to share that knowledge with people. Anything to make the game easier to play. And that's the thing that I probably would not have thought to tell people that you can arrow up and down through a roster, but it just comes up when we do our sims. So it was a nice uh, happenstance that people who didn't know you can do that were watching, and I happened to talk through it. All right, that's it. So let's go back to the roster and make sure I hit enter and everything. Yeah, so now this way, when someone does something in the game, we'll get to see, like, oh, which Pete Rose was that? Now, I'm going to have it set a lineup, but because no one has catcher ratings, here, I'll show you what that looks like. Right, in editor, under batting ratings, there's the fielding ratings. Now, I don't think any of these Pete Roses is going to have catcher ratings, right? They're all zeros. So my understanding is in this version of the game in OOTP 25, it won't put any catchers in the lineup right here. But if we force it to sim, it should put some of these Pete Roses in the catcher position. Now, here's a little quirky AI thing. It's not starting one of the 4.5-star Pete Roses. That's interesting. And who's leading off? 79 Pete Rose is leading off. Where's 79 Pete Rose? Right here. Yeah, makes sense. Highest contact and highest I. Batting third is the 69 Pete Rose. 85 BABIP. And then the 90 BABIP Pete Rose is batting cleanup. So, seems to make sense. You can see here where there's no defense, the center fielder and the shortstop. He didn't play center fielder shortstop in his career, but he does have outfield ratings. Right? He has outfield ratings. So as over the course of the season, this experience for center field will go from zero and it'll progressively increase as he plays more games in center field. And so we'll see that go up. Same for shortstop. He has infield ratings. So which Pete Rose is playing shortstop? Probably one of the ones that played second base. So starting at shortstop is 72 Pete Rose. So yeah, he had 200 experience at second base once this comes up. Now the problem is his ratings aren't great. So even at max experience, he's going to be a 3 shortstop. Find a feedback asking, I said this profile doesn't sim well. Does that mean the Mission Clemente card release with high BABIP avoid K? Below I wouldn't sim well. No, so I would say I'm talking more specifically about base game. Although I have noticed in Perfect Team 2, but I think that Clemente has enough power and that I would still play it. I'm talking more about like the right, like a lot of these roses and the Gwins in particular, and the Ichiros too, have low power, relatively low I, especially for like a perfect or diamond, and the strength of their profile is the low void K BABIP contact, and I feel like that just doesn't sim well in base game. Um, but that Clemente has, I think, 105 power and actually has some decent eye, so I think it's probably still fine. Oh, the bronze Clemente. Yeah, 20 power, but super high. I mean, the counter to that would be that the Connie Day seemed to play well in the beginning, and that had high contact, low power. But um, I guess my comment is more around Tony Gwynn just doesn't play like Tony Gwynn in base game a lot of the time. And I wish AW were here because I think now that we're doing all these experiments, I understand why. Um, in real baseball, those hitters do one of the hardest things there is to do, which is to consistently put the bat on the ball. And the way that OOTP calculates what happens in the at bat, I think that gets underweighted because the strikeout or not strikeout happens later in the calculation. Whereas in real life, it's if you can't make contact, you can't do anything. And so I just think because of the sequence and the way at bats are calculated, it just doesn't quite do them justice as it would to a batter with like maybe higher power or higher eye. Um, it takes it takes an amazing skill in real baseball, and it like deprioritizes it in the order of calculations. Um, that was a suspicion I had, but now that we've done more of these experiments, especially around how stuff works and how avoid K works, I am now starting to understand that is just the way the game's calculated. Right, and power increases average in this game, and they don't have power, right? And so it's kind of a double whammy. So there, and I'm not, I don't mean to throw shade at the game. The developers have come up with like a great simulation engine in the base game that actually does simulate an incredibly complex set of events in a baseball at bat. But I mean, someone's always going to get the short end of the stick because you're just adding these artificial calculations to something that's real. And I think what ends up suffering is the people who have like god level avoid K that leads to like really good contact. I think they're getting the short end of the stick a little bit. But that said, I've had a sim where one of the Tony Gwynns did hit 400. So, um, you know, he can play just fine. It's just There's also been seasons where Tony Gwynn hits like 290, and I'm just like, there's no way. Um, anyway, and that's with like randomness turned way down. So it's not that uh, he was a victim of like randomness nerfing his attributes. It was just his attributes didn't translate well. So okay, so we're gonna see if it sims. If it doesn't sim, I've put in the form how I'm going to address that with the catcher position. So let's see what happens. So I don't think I need to do a quick save here, a quick start, because I don't think we're going to do this more than once, unless it crashes. But if it crashes, it's not that hard to recreate what we just did. So, all right. So I think we're ready. So let me do our usual. This is your 3-minute warning for the pack giveaway form. I'm going to send us to ads preemptively, and I'm going to get some water, do a bio break, and then we will fire up the sim. All right, and I think we're back from ads, and I see Talkmado has entered the chat. Welcome, Tongmado. I feel like we haven't seen you in a few days, so hope you've been doing well. We are doing a Pete Rose simulation. Pete Rose, who passed away earlier today, and I already discussed at the beginning of the stream. He's a highly flawed individual. We're not going to pretend he's not, but his baseball career was incredible, and so that's what we're acknowledging: the baseball player and the stats and the profiles and the attributes. And Tamino finally getting over being like, hey man, I can relate. You have my sympathies. Um, I don't know if you were getting over a cold or something. I'm still getting over kidney stones, and so yeah, I have sympathy for anyone who is not feeling well for sure. G Flock thinks his wrestling career is better than his baseball career. All right, so let's see how we're doing on the form. Tonkmato, if you want to get in on this, it's yeah, Tonkmato, that's kind of the approach I took. Now there are some players like they're they go beyond indiscretion and into kind of much more terrible behavior. I don't mind cutting them off, but you know how much of a terrible person they are. I'm not going to judge that in a baseball simulation games. I'm just going to put them in there and uh My, the one thing I did do though is I didn't want him on the Mets, so I sent him to the Reds. Normally these sims happen with the Mets. We're simming the Reds tonight. Um, yeah. So Tom, if you want to get your form in, I don't mind holding up a little bit here. D block too. If you want to get your form in, I don't mind waiting. I thought also one thing we do tonight, which I haven't done in a while, is do highlights of the first game. I just want to see all the Pete Roses out there. How many more hits does he have than the Mets? The all-time Mets? I do think in the 50 no, what is it? The 62-year history of the Mets, they may have finally hit more more base hits than Pete Rose. I realize this is just a numerical coincidence, but I it is 62 years since the 62 Mets. Seems like seems like something should have happened for that. I mean, I know it's just a coincidence that those numbers work out that way, but that's still kind of cool. Oh, right. Wait, oh, that's amazing. Talk me, I didn't even think about that, but you're right. That's exactly right. 62 years after the 62 Mets, the White Sox beat the record of the most losses. That's pretty good. That's funny. That's really good. And the Mets made the playoffs today. So, all right. Anyone else working on their forms about to hit submit? By the way, so I did grow up a Mets fan. I did not grow up a Jets fan. But one of the most Jets things that I could have imagined happening is Sam Darnold turning into like the most amazing quarterback in the world after leaving the Jets. He's 4-0, and he's not just ball managing. He's like actually creating offense. Dude, like it has not been 50 years since the Tigers won last. Although, wow, wait, have they not won since '84? No, they must have won since '84, right? That seems like a fake fact that's like somehow believable. Oh, wow. You're right. They have not won the World Series. They've been in the World Series, but wow. I thought for sure they would have won. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't know when I thought they had won another one, but you're right. Yeah, that is 40 years. Mhm. I mean, I guess I thought during the peak Miggy years they might have won one, but they did not, obviously. I mean, they did get swept in the World Series during a Miggy year, but wow. All right. I did not realize that. The crazy thing is they have, I didn't realize they've only ever won four world championships in their entire franchise history. That's 124 seasons they've been playing baseball, and they only won four world championships. That's kind of sad. Oh, trying to make Tom Beto feel even older. All right, Tom Beto, are you going to get one in or no? Yeah, so D Block just turned 50. Happy birthday, D Block. Um, that means D Block was born in an Oakland Athletics World Series championship year. Okay, Talkmano is not in, so we're gonna close it. I don't think anyone else is working on it. For those of you who entered, I have some good news for you. There is no Smiley Face Jane entry tonight. So you have a chance to win first place. All right, let's hide some columns and let's share the. All right, so will the team make the playoffs? Everyone's on board with them making the playoffs. Will the team make it to the World Series? Two say yes, one sayer of nay. Will win the World Series. Okay, both people who say they're going to the World Series think they're going to win the World Series. Will one of the Pete Roses lead the majors in hits? Everyone thinks so. Will one lead the majors in batting average? Everyone seems to think so. Will one of the Pete Roses lead the majors in doubles? Two say yes, one says no. Will one of them lead the majors in runs? They all say yes. And the rest of the numerical ones, the first two numerical ones, actually, let's go ahead and share because those are of the top eight. Um, okay, of the top eight league leaders or major league leaders in hits, how many will be Pete Rose's? 3 to 6. Of the league leaders in batting average, how many will be Pete Rose's? Also 3 to 6. All right, and then the other numerical ones we'll hold off on sharing until uh, and it's also the same order: 5, 3, and 6, 5, 3, and 6. All right, interesting, interesting. All right, well, let's see what happens with the Pete Roses at the catcher in particular. We're going to finish the last day of the preseason. All right, are the Reds playing today? Yes, we are. All right, we're just going to do highlights for one game and then we'll sim the season. And maybe it would help if I shared the game. There we go. Don't tell Max I did that. That's another thing he makes fun of me for. All right, starting the season against the Pirates. We already have a runner at second. As mentioned earlier, Pete Rose can't help the pitching staff, so okay, good. It did put Pete Rose at catcher, so we're good. Into the gap, that is gone. And the Pirates are up early, 2-0. Top of the second, Pirates still up. Leadoff hitter, another one into the left center field gap, this time off the wall. It's going to be extra bases. Left field, Pete Rose. A little slow getting to the ball. Throw in is late, and the runner safe with a triple. The triple must have scored. Bottom of the third now, trailing 3-0. 1975 Pete Rose at first, playing catcher. 1973 Pete Rose at bat with one out. 3-1 count. Draws the walk, first and second. For 1969 Pete Rose. Clay says it's starting to get to be a long list of things to tell Max about. Yeah, that's a base hit in the left center field. Drops in front of the center fielder. They hold the runner, though. Base is loaded now for 1968 Pete Rose. Up the middle, base hit. It'll score one, might score two. Nope, they hold the runner again. All right, 1970 Pete Rose up now. Strikes out, swinging. 2 outs now for 1976 Pete Rose. 1976 Pete Rose hit 323 with an 854 OPS that year. Line drive past the third baseman. Scores one, might score two. Runner's coming home. And he's safe. Ties it up 3-3. Rally's still going, though. 2 outs for the 1965 Pete Rose. 1965 Rose led the majors with hits at 209 and hit 312. Line drive to the second baseman ends the inning. But the damage is done. They tie the score. And Pittsburgh coming up to bat, top of the fourth. Line drive over Pete Rose, lands in front of Pete Rose for the base hit. First and third now with 1 out, 3-1 count. Line drive to Pete Rose in center field. Settles under it. Throw home. Runner tagging. Not in time. Pirates take the lead again, 4-3. All right, but that's the Cincinnati down one. 75 Pete Rose playing catcher today. Draws the walk. The 9 Pete Rose, who led the National League with a 418 on base percentage that year. Soft ground ball to the pitcher. Slow getting to it. Looks like an infield hit, though. Bases loaded. For the 1973 Pete Rose, who hit 338, led the National League and won the MVP. And MVP Rose walks a run in. All right, 1969 Pete Rose. This one led the majors with a 348 batting average. Line drive to center field. That's going to score at least one. Throw home is not in time. Scores two. And the Reds put up another 3 spot to go up 6-4. Pirates now top of the 5th, now trailing by 2. Line drive in the left center field. That one's going to be off the wall. Extra bases for sure. See if they score any runners. Slide into second with a double and scores 1. The runners advance to third now with 1 out. 3-2 count for McCutcheon. Ground ball to short. They get the out at first, but that's going to score a run. Now, bottom of the 5th, Cincinnati comes to bat. 1972 Pete Rose led the league in a bunch of stuff that year, including leading the majors in hits. Line drive up the middle. That's a base hit. Might score Pete Rose. And it does. And the trailing Pete Rose advances to second. All right, 1975 Pete Rose now playing catcher comes to bat. I wonder why the AI chose this particular Pete Rose to play catcher. It's not like it was one of the worst batting seasons or anything. I don't know. All right, Pete Rose drives on the right center field. Pete Rose is rounding third, looking to score. And Pete Rose slides into second with a double. And another 3 spot. 9-7 now, top of the 6th. Pirates have already scored 1 with a runner on third. And Sawinski's up to bat. Line drive to center field. Pete Rose is chasing it down. Can't get there in time. Off the wall. Rose throws it in. Cut off by Rose. And runner on second with another run in. Cuts the lead to 9-8. Connor Joe up now. Ground ball to shortstop. Rose over to first. And Rose puts it away for the out. Holds it to 9-8. 2 outs now. 3-2 count. Hayes hits at the right side of the infield past Rose for a base hit. That'll drive in another run. And it's 9-9. Modifiers are off. So whatever these Roses are going to do, they're going to do. All right, Brian Reynolds up at bat. 2 outs, 0-1 count. Pops it up. The Roses are congregating. I don't know which Rose that was that caught it. I think it might have been the first baseman. All right, Castro up now, top of the 8th. Still tied 9-9. Ground ball up the middle. Past Rose. Runner on first. Another ground ball past the shortstop. I wonder how much of these are the fact that this shortstop has no shortstop rating. So some of these might have been ground outs with any other shortstop, but there's a walk. Bases loaded now. Looks like the infield is in. Ground ball to Rose. Throws it home. Rose gets it out. Throws it to Rose. Double play. The 1-2-3 double play. It looks like that got them out of the jam because it is now the top of the eighth. No, no, wait. Oh, they didn't get the double play. They just got the lead runner. Okay, bases loaded, one out. Infield still in. Strikeout, swinging. That's a big help. Ryan Reynolds now up, two outs. Bases still loaded. Fly ball to right field. Rose is on his horse. Not going to get there in time. It's into the corner. That's going to be extra bases. Runners rounding second, going to third. Rose cuts it off, throws to third. Rose puts on the tag, not in time. All right, 73 Rose is up now. This one hit Major League leading 230 hits and a 338 average. Draws the walk. Down three, they need base runners. Oh, pitch gets away. Rose advances to second. All right, the 69 Rose led the majors of runs with 120 and the majors with a 348 batting average. Takes the walk. This is what we need, base runners. First and second now for the 1968 Rose, who led the majors with a 335 average and led the National League with a 391 on base percentage. Hits it hard to center field, but it's center field is under for an out. One out now, 2-2 count for the 1970 Rose. Line drive into center field. That's going to drop in for a base hit. Can't tell if it scored one or not. It did not. They held the runner. So bases loaded for the 1976 Rose. 215 hits, 130 runs, and 42 doubles. All led the majors that year for this Rose. Ground ball up the middle. One Rose scores. Another Rose rounding third. Two Roses score. Two RBI single by Rose. 1965 Rose now up. This is the youngest on the team. Led the majors with 209 hits. Ooh, checks his swing, but is called out swinging. Bases loaded now for 1975 Rose. Down by one. Soft fly ball to left field, and that's going to end the inning. All right, Pittsburgh looking to add some insurance runs here. Oh, that's a deep fly ball to right center field, and it is gone. They double the lead now, up 2 runs, 13-11. As the Reds come up to bat in the bottom of the ninth, 1979 Pete Rose leading it off, led the National League with a 418 on base percentage. Line drive in the left field into the corner. That'll be extra bases. All right, he's in with a double. Brings up the 73 Rose. This is the career high 230 base hit Rose, but he goes down swinging. All right, still runner in scoring position, but they're down two. 1969 Rose. Soft line drive to third base. That's the second out of the inning. Brings up 1968 Rose. This one hit 335. And that's a fly ball to, a pop up to the shortstop. Ends the game. Well, they lost the game, but they did not disappoint. 16 base hits, all told, by the Pete Roses. All right, let me. Well, one performance of the day was from one of the Pete Roses. 3 for 5, 2 RBIs, 2 runs, and a walk. All right, let me catch up on chat here. Let's see what's going on. This play-by-play would be more entertaining if it was lead single for Pete Rose, bringing Pete Rose to the plate. Rose takes his lead off first, and the first pitch to Rose. I know. I felt like that's what I was saying, but there's definitely not that many Roses in what I was saying. We might have to score 20 a game, but by golly, we're going to win. Yeah, I mean, you would think if you scored 11 runs, that might be enough to win it. But now the Reds did make one error. I wonder if that was one of the Roses playing out of position. 1975 Pete Rose. 1975 Pete Rose is playing catcher. Hmm. Rose has stone hands. Yeah, I don't think he's ever been known for 11 runs. The OTP 25 engine says hold my beer. Says Steve Locke. Let's see. You know what? He did win two gold gloves in the 60s, 69 and 70, playing right field. And I think that predates the era that I know sports sometimes talk about where gold gloves were won basically for offense. I think back then that you actually did still have to play defense to win a gold glove. But even then, not known for his glove, not known for his defense. All right, let's go back to the standings and let's go ahead and sim the month. All right, 0 and 1. Just played one game in March. Wow. 3, 4 and 17, 9 and 19. Let's see what these scores look like. Not all football scores. There's a 1-5 loss here. 1-4, 2-5, 4-5. I mean, a lot of them do look like baseball scores at least, which is surprising because I mean how much firepower this lineup has. But yeah, they are having to score 15 runs to win. 12-5 win. They're not winning many low scoring games here. I'm also kind of curious to see how the shortstop Rose is coming along in terms of picking up experience. Okay, they're up to 21. The problem is, even when they get to 200, they're going to be capped at a 3 rating at shortstop, which is not great. Keep an eye over here on the right for league leaders. Got a few in batting average there, one in OPS. 8 game RBI streak by Pete Rose, 9 game run streak, and a 7 consecutive on base streak. Not consecutive games, consecutive appearances. That's pretty good. 16 and 38, 17 and a half games back of the Brewers. Let's finish the month. Didn't account for Flying W didn't account for pitching. 29 and 54. I wonder how, I mean, I'm sure the pitching is a lot to do with it, but that pitching staff did go 82 and 80 in real life. I'm wondering how much of it is the defense. All right, let's sim to the All Star game. Let me make sure the mailbox is set up right so we get our. Yeah, we should be good to get All Star voting results. 21 game hitting streak by 1968 Pete Rose. And we'll finish today to roll over into the All-Star break at 32 and 60, 22 and a half games back. There are still a few teams further back than we are. The White Sox, the Royals, D Block, your Royals are 35 games behind at 29 and 62. Yeah, but this is worse than bad MLB defense, D Block, because a three at shortstop, there's no bad shortstop. Even Jose Offerman would have been more than a three. So this is like bad news Bears defense at short, catcher, and center field, which are three pretty important positions. Let's see how this center field Pete Rose is. Center field is at a 62 now, which is a 29 rating. They're going to be maxed out at 94. And then second base should be fine. He actually played second base. But even though he actually played second base, I don't think his rating's going to be super high. Yeah, he actually played second base, but he's going to be capped out at a 48, which is also pretty bad. That's like Keston Hura bad. All right, let's see what All-Star voting looked like. Catcher, nope. First base, third in voting, Pete Rose, 1969. Wow, hitting 371 and slugging 587. Second base, nope. Third base, nope. Shortstop, nope. Left field, nope. Center field, no. Right field, no. DH, no. Wow. All right, let's see if he got selected. So no pitchers. So that means the rest will be Pete Rose's. So first base selected, third base selected, hitting 293. That's it. Two Pete Roses. Wow. If you had had me, oh no, here's another one in left field, hitting 346. That's really good. So three Pete Roses got selected. Man, if you had asked me before the sim how many are going to make the All Star game, I would have guessed at least four or five, maybe five or six. Wow. All right. All right. Well, we're not going to be in the home run challenge. That's probably a safe bet. Yep. No Pete Roses in the home run challenge. Brent Rooker, Matt Olson, Christian Walker, and JD Martinez. Martinez had the highest point total in round one. Martinez and Matt Olson advance. And JD Martinez wins it 10-9. All right, let's quick play the All Star game. We'll see if the Pete Roses do anything in it. NL did win 6-4. It's all oh no, Mookie Betts and then two Braves performances of the day. Jumped out to an early lead and just hung on. Four in the third really broke it open. All right, let's see. 73 Pete Rose pinch hit went 0 for 2. 69 Pete Rose pinch hit went 0 for 2. And 68 Pete Rose pinch hit and went 1 for 2. kind of see where we're looking at batting wise. Well, the one playing first base hitting 371 with a 10.05 OPS. Then the next starter is the one in left field hitting 344 with a 935 OPS. In right field, 328 with an 890 OPS. But then it drops out pretty quickly. The rest of the starters are all hitting under 300. And so this is what I was saying earlier about how this profile doesn't really sim well. Right? All these Pete Roses hit well over 300. Most of them had over 200 hits, and I'll be surprised if very many of these end up hitting over 200 hits, just where they are right now. And only three of the starters hitting over 300. All right, let's finish the month of July. Marbek, good morning. Buenos dias. We're doing a simulation of 14 Pete Roses added to the 2023 Cincinnati Reds. 33 game hitting streak by the 1973 Pete Rose, a 41 game on base streak by a different 1979 Pete Rose. And still 40 and 69. But with 40 wins, they are going to be better than the White Sox. And they're still 4 games ahead of the Royals and the Rockies. All right, we'll sim out August. It's Roses and Arias battling out for the batting title. All right, another month in, we are now 53 and 82, almost a 400 win percentage, extending the lead over the Royals and the Rockies in particular. Tied in the win column with the White Sox. All right, we'll sim to the end of the regular season. Man, I totally would have guessed that this team would make the playoffs. Flying W making a deep run this bronze quick. Just going to pretend the 3 packs you win for this or second place here. Hey, Flying W, is this the roster where you replace Clemente with Dunn? All right, 161. We are over 400 with a 410 win percentage with one more game left to play. And yeah, we finished with a 414 win percentage, 67 and 95. Unfortunately, well out of the playoff race. You did, but it was a failure. Put Clemente back in. Got it. Got it. All right. Well, let's do the postseason. You notice in your wins, Clemente bats like 380 to 420. Can't argue with that. Like I said, even the Gwyn sometimes hits 400 in this game, but a lot of times he's just way underperforms. the D-Luck says that Sim at least thinks the Royal improved by 4 games. Yeah, the Rockies though at 50 wins. So this is interesting. We finished 15 games worse than the actual 82 wins that the 2023 Reds had. All right, let's finish up the postseason, then we'll look at the stats and we'll give away some packs. So I think we need to sim one more day here. The Tigers are spot on, 85 and 77. Oh, 1969 Pete Rose did win the batting championship, though. All right. In the wild card, we've got the Yankees and the Rays, and the Padres and the Cubs. Oh, I didn't notice that, Clay Dog. Thanks for letting me know. So in the standings, the Cubs and Brewers were tied. Yeah, so they went to 163rd game, which the Brewers won. Oh, looks like they had a tiebreaker in the AL too. The Astros and the Rangers had to play. That's pretty cool. I haven't seen that very often, where you have uh, two, two games and four teams going to 163 games. That's pretty cool. The Brewers crushed 7-1 to win the division there, and then in the AL, a 3-2 nail biter that the Astros edged the Rangers. Oh, we don't get a win probability graph because we're not managing this team. But yeah, Astros jump ahead 1-0 in the second. Go ahead 3-0 in the sixth, with the Rangers answer back with two, but just can't get any more and lose 3-2. Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, these are good grudge matches, right? Astros Rangers in particular, and then Cubs Brewers is probably a fun one too. Two hitter, the Brew Crew two hit the Cubs to clinch the division. Yeah, Clay Dog, I'm glad you pointed that out. I would have totally missed that. It's fun seeing these 163 game seasons. All right. And the Rays and the Cubs win the wild cards. We could still have a Cubs Brewers rematch. Oh, you know what? That Astros Rangers game, the loser didn't make the playoffs. That's a brutal 163rd game. That's brutal. Wow. Man. Especially between the Astros and Rangers. Like Clay Dog said, two teams that don't love each other. That's one game to make the playoffs or go home. All right, so the matchups now in the division series are the Twins, Rays, Astros, Orioles, Braves, Cubs, and Brewers, Dodgers. All these sound like good series. With the exception of the Cubs beating the Braves 3-1, all of them went to the others went to 5 games. The Rays edged the Twins 3-2. The Astros edged the Orioles 3-2, and the Dodgers get past the Brewers 3-2. So it's Rays, Astros, Cubs, Dodgers. And the Pete Roses are at home watching on TV, I guess. Or they're or they're at the casino betting on the games, I guess. Astros get by the Rays 4 games to 3, and the Dodgers are the gentleman's sweep over the Cubs. So it's Dodgers, Astros. Man, the Astros are 1 game away from not making the playoffs, and they're in the World Series. That's a heck of a run. And they've gone to the the distance in both rounds so far. Oh, but the Dodgers take it 4 games to 1. Wow, this is one of the lowest season scores for one of these takeovers. And to be fair, the other times I've done this, I've given the players some ratings at shortstop, center field, and catcher. I think I'm going to go back to doing that because it. I'm pretty sure it's the defense that did them in here because the pitching staff is the same staff that won 82 games in real life. The hitting is undeniably better, but the results were significantly worse. The only thing I can think of is that poor defense up the middle and frankly across the infield. Even though Pete Rose played second base, you can see in the seasons where he played second base, his ratings were still pretty terrible. And so, if he's maxed out at 48 at second base, he's maxed out at 3 at shortstop. That's not going to be pretty. Now, I think the thing to do though is, I mean, it's kind of hard to say. Like in other times I've done this, I've given them like 75s or hundreds, which gives you a rating in the 40s or 50s. The problem with that though is that rating is actually higher than Rose would have gotten at second base on his own, which seems like putting the finger on the scale a little too much. Um, but yeah, I do want to avoid having a wreck of a season because of defense. So we'll have to figure out some way to do this a little bit better next time. But I want to see how. I do think the offense was pretty bad though, considering how good the incoming seasons are. Now we did end up with we did end up with several of them actually finally hitting 300. So that's good. But I think overall, these Pete Roses underperformed. And I did say coming into it, this profile, the game engine does not love this profile. The high contact, the high avoid K, the low power, the mediocre I, the game engine just does not reward that profile very well. I see it with Gwyn, I see it with Ichiro. Um, Hitters that are just unreal hitters in real life just don't do well in the simulations. So let's see where we ended up. 356, 350. Those two are great. And then 315. I'm skipping the bench players. 287, 290, 309, 280, 290. This is what happens with Gwyn sometimes. Like, let me pull up some Gwyn stats, right? Like, I've done a lot of sims with the 91 Mets, and Tony Gwynn's one of the players I try to acquire because I was such a big fan just of his approach as a hitter. And there was a season he hit 394. Frankly, there was a streak where he hit 394, 368, 353, and 372. And of course, I had him on the Mets for those seasons. And he's hitting like 290. And I'm just like, there's no way. There's no way. Flying WV with a question for bronze roster. Should my bullpen guys be all middle relief? I noticed that's what my opponent has in the finals. I, I'm probably not the person to ask. Like D Block might have more information for you on that. I do a very complicated bullpen setup, which is entirely designed to keep the AI from screwing me over. But I see a lot of people doing that all middle relief thing. My understanding, the philosophy on that is that if everyone's got the same kind of hierarchy, then the AI will pick the best pitcher for the situation. I think that's putting a lot of faith in the AI, but at least my understanding is that's how people do it that way. Flying W tends to let the CPU set up the bullpen, which is probably a mistake. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do what I do. I get the results that I get. I haven't done a controlled experiment in a perfect team where if I set up my bullpen differently? Would I do better or worse? But there are different philosophies on that. In fact, I wonder if we can do that in the base game and test it out. Like if we do, the thing there though is I don't think it works in the completely average league. I think maybe what we do is like we clone a team, like an actual major league team, and for one version we set everyone to middle relief. For one version we let the AI set it, and maybe for another version I set it the way I would set it with my crazy stoppers and secondary role closers and stuff. And yeah, we'd have to find a good team though that has like a lot of bullpen flexibility, or we can just build our own, I guess. Yeah, you know what, Find of I've been curious about that too. So maybe that is an experiment we do, and it'll be a fun one because we wouldn't do it in the average league for a change. Clay Dog usually has one stopper, maybe one to two long relief, the rest middle relief. Yeah, that's another profile I see a lot too, Clay Dog. I do. I mean, depending on the person, but I do closer, two stoppers with secondary role closer, two setups. One of them has secondary role closer, and then the rest middle relief with secondary role setup. And the reason I do that is what I've been told, and again, putting a lot of faith in what we've been told, is that one of the reasons your bullpen might get shelled is if you just have one person designated as closer and it's a closer situation, the AI is going to keep putting that pitcher out there unless you have someone else with a secondary role closer because it says, oh, it's a closed situation. I need to pull in the closer when they're tired, but I don't have another closer. So I do my setup to mitigate that. The other reason I do that is I noticed when I played base game, if I had a stopper, the closer got no save opportunities. So it was doing a combination of bringing them in earlier in the game if there was like a run scoring opportunity to shut that down. But then if it was a save situation, they hadn't already been run, then they come in for that, and then my closer's not doing anything. So anyway, I do a bunch of these things to try to just like address things I've heard happen in the AI. Yeah, Claydog, generally your stopper acts as a closer. So anyway, I think that would be a fun experiment. Let me think about the experimental design a little bit, Flying WV. But that's definitely something I've been curious about too. So it would be fun to test it out. All right, let's see what's going on here with the league leaders here. Wow, only three in the top three in batting average. I'm telling you, like they get cheated. This profile. I mean, let's go back to the Pete Rose here. Let me pull up the BREF again. Okay, so we had a 356, a 350, and a 315. Now, look, I get there's RNG. I get we're bringing him across different eras. But that said, right, we've got a 350, a 335, a 348, a 338, and then a 331, and a 325. Even 315, right? There's a 312, a 313, a 316, a 317, a 323, a 311. None of those, nothing close to that here. So again, this profile not beloved by this simulation engine. Oh yeah, D Block. This is why we're doing it. I'm sorry I didn't mention that when you came in. Pete Rose passed away earlier today. Um, one of them did have 128 RBI. Base hits 3 in the top 8. Doubles. Okay. We did have a 56 double Pete Rose and a 47 double Pete Rose. That's pretty good. And then two in the top eight and runs scored. But just in general, and then runs scored and RBI, I mean, the opportunities are going to be kind of, he'll have more RBI opportunities than he had in real life because versions of him now are hitting, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. He may have fewer run scoring opportunities because some of him are playing batting seventh, eighth, and ninth. But just in general, I think, um, you know, the sim engine just does not love this profile. I've said it before. In fact, what would happen if I do a whole team position appropriate, right? So we'll find a shortstop with the profile. But if it's all like this Gwyn, Ichiro, Rose profile, will they actually win games and will they actually hit like they should? They're not going to hit like they should. I already know that, but I mean, who are those players, right? So who would that be? Like, who's the? Well, I mean, you've got Gwyn and Ichiro both in right, so one of them can play center. Um, Mauer, yeah, that's the Mauer-ish at catcher. That's a good. Trying to think who's like that. Oh, Boggs at third. Boggs for sure at third. Who's in left? Well, I mean, let's. I guess we can look at batting average leaders. Keith Hernandez at first base. Yeah, that's a pretty good call. For first base, his power is pretty low. So here's the thing I don't like about VREF. If you want to look up anything, it's really hard to navigate. So I end up looking up things like um, MLB batting average seasons. Then it takes me to the right table, but I find it really hard to navigate to the table internally. Oh, these are going to be a lot of old school players, aren't they? Oh, LeMahieu, perfect. Who else? A lot of these guys have too much power. Nomar in a lower power season, maybe. Yeah, Clay Dog. You have to Google everything and look for in BF. Totally. The internal navigation is terrible. Rod Carew, good call, D Block. Yeah, Rod Carew. What about catcher? Piazza has too much power. Oh, we already said Mauer. D Block suggested Mauer, which is good. Oh, Olerud would be a good first baseman for this. There's Boggs. Yeah, well, Gwyn and Ichiro are like the poster boys, so they're definitely on. Brett has a little too much power, I think. Okay, I think we can do this. I think one day pretty soon we'll do a sim like this. And ideally it would be all hitter seasons where they hit over. Oh, Arias, of course. I didn't even think about him. Arias. He's right here. Maybe over 325 or something. Um, wow, that's interesting, D Block. That's fewer than I would have thought. per season. Um, I guess he is more of like a line drive gap guy, but and I guarantee you half the guys aren't going to hit 300, even with even with modifiers off. Modifiers are off for this season. Hmm. I honestly forget who the pitchers are for this team, but um, it'll be a fun sim. Mostly just to it'll be fun to see how bad they get nerfed by the game engine. In fact, some of the questions will be about that, like how many of these 325 plus batting average seasons are going to fail to hit 300? All right, let's do some pack giveaways. Well, I don't think the pitcher profiles really matter, D Block. I'm just trying to think like, do we want to give them a stud pitching staff or like an average pitching staff? Um, or maybe we just put them on the Mets again. Oh, I see what you're saying, D Block. Yeah, but I don't want to cloud the thing we're testing, which is we're just testing how badly this profile gets nerfed. Yeah, Daniel Murphy, Jeff McNeil, maybe some of those. I think, yeah. That's Daniel Murphy's a good one. I actually don't know if he hit high enough average wise, but that's like the right idea. All right, let's give away some packs. Let's give away some packs. He did? Okay, good, good. Three fit perfect. Perfect. Mets legend, Daniel Murphy. All right, we have. I told you the good news, right? For you guys at least. There's no smiley face Jane in tonight's contest, so you have a fighting chance. T Buck says, who started to get good once you left the Mets like every Mets legend. You forget the other Mets legends, D Block, who the Mets acquire after they've peaked. I point to Junior Naboa, Juan Samuel, Bobby Bonilla, you know, Carlos Baerga. There's another one. Okay, so our three contestants tonight: Flying WV, Clay Dog, and D Block. 2016 Daniel Murphy at 347. Perfect. Okay, will this team make the playoffs? Everyone said yes. I would have said yes. The actual Reds did not. They went 82 and 80. This team won 67 games. So everyone's wrong. I would have been wrong. So we all move on to the next question. Will a team make the World Series? No. Wait, does that mean Clay Dog wins? Because you said they would not make the World Series? I think that does. I think Clay Dog wins. Okay, now we're fighting for second place. Will this team win the World Series? No. But you have already won. Will and Pete Rose lead the majors in hits? Did they? Let's see. Hits. Yes. 1969 Pete Rose at 226 hits. So we advance. Will a Pete Rose lead the majors batting average? Yes, he did. Will a Pete Rose lead the majors in doubles? Oh, we have a difference here. There's a tie for first in doubles with 56. They tied for first. with Jaron Duran from the Red Sox. D Block by the skin of his teeth wins second place. Oh no, it's he did lead the league, so it's a yes. It is a yes. So D Block wins that tiebreaker. And the last question was, will the Pete Rose lead the majors in runs? Everyone gets yes. They finished tied for fourth. Acuna still led in real life. Flying W says it's okay. I just won 3 packs of my tourney, so we all get packs. Okay, so the packs are decided. Clay Dog in first, D Block in second, but let's see how the rest of them would have gone. Um, of the 8 major league leaders in hits, how many will be a Pete Rose? One, two, three. Clay Dog on the money with three. What a guess. Of the top 8 leaders in batting average, how many will be a Pete Rose? Again, one, two, three. Clay Dog nails it again. Unbelievable guesses, Clay Dog. All right, the next numerical one. How many hits by the Pete Rose with the most hits? And the actual answer was 226. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Fine WV on the nose, 226. Unbelievable. That's so unbelievable. Fine WV, I'm going to give you some packs. I will explain it to Nicolino. I will beg his forgiveness, but I got to give you some packs for that. I don't think I can give you as many as second place, but I'll give you 2 packs for that. That's worth it. That's an amazing guess. Unbelievable. Okay. And the last one, what is the batting average uh of the Pete Rose with the highest batting average? All right. The answer there was 356. Ooh, we have some close ones. Flying Divvy again was closest with 362. All right, so Clay Dog first, D Block second, and a special 2 pack bonus for Flying WV for guessing the number of hits on the nose of 226. Unbelievable guess. All right, congrats to our pack winners. I hope you had fun. And whatever we think of the person of the player as a person, I I am kind of glad we set that aside tonight and did a sim to acknowledge the amazing body of work in terms of baseball statistics that Pete Rose did um, put together during the course of his career. As much as I read the baseball encyclopedia and stuff growing up, again, I think I was, I was watching, I saw him a little bit at the tail end of his career, definitely like a shadow of the player he was in his peak. But also, I think again, the longevity really kind of obscures how high some of these peaks were. Unfortunately, the game engine also obscures how high some of these peaks are. So, um, D Block, I'm pretty sure you will beat me in the soiree because I have not updated those soiree rosters in almost a month, and I don't have lots of combinators. So, um, I am prepared to concede that first rounder to you, D Block. But yeah, I mean, I didn't realize how many, especially in terms of hits. Now, granted, he's also leading the league in plate appearances and at bats most of these seasons, right? Leading off with the big red machine, getting tons of chances. But still, I mean, he's got to cash them in, and he cashed them into the rate of three league leading and two major league leading batting average seasons, like a bunch of seasons over 300. We talked about how hard it is just to get one MVP vote. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 seasons where he got MVP votes. So, um, yeah. And I hope you had fun with the pack giveaways. I thought the results of the pack giveaway contest were great. So I had fun looking at them. I hope you guys did too. And I'm glad with Flying W with that amazing guess on the nose that I'm giving everyone packs tonight. So that feels fun on my end. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Fun as always. Glad you think so, Clay Dog. And there's a little bit of a change. I think tomorrow we'll go back to the original scheduled experiment, which is how does the game engine treat intentional walks when it comes to a high contact hitter instead of a high power hitter? I'm very curious to see how that goes, especially given Flying WV shared with us some info about how that's gone in tournament play. Tonight and tomorrow, there's no raid into Max. So here's what I'm thinking. Tonight, we're going to raid into Ophi and Stitch because tomorrow, I think, is Sensei Martian's last day of his walk. So tomorrow, I want to definitely raid into Sensei Martian, and I want to see him reach the end of his journey. I think that'll be super cool. For those of you who aren't familiar, he's an American guy living in Japan, walking from the southern tip of Japan to the northern tip of Japan. Uh, Slaydog says, and now back to your regularly scheduled experiment. I heard that in the TV voice. That's awesome. Yeah, today was a little bit of a sidetrack based on the news of Pete Rose's passing. And D Block wants to know the results of that too, since you're always cranking up the intentional walk. Yeah, I think a lot of us do because I think we heard, I don't want to misattribute it, but I think it was Mr. Black's assertion that the AI is good at handling pitch around and intentional walk. And I'm not one to doubt him because whether it's analytics or modeling or whatever, most of the stuff he says seems to be true. And so I want to see what it does with contact. D-Block, did you see what it did with home runs with the power hitter? It was really good at not intentionally walking anyone else. It did intentionally walk just the one batter they should be intentionally walking. So from that perspective, it does seem to be very good. It's harder to tell with pitch around because there's no discrete outcome. But and G-Block, I think you're on our Discord. I posted the stats in the Discord. You can see like when facing teams that had, so every team had one big power hitter, power 550, and all the teams that had the intentional walk slider set to +5, they walked just that hitter, no one else. So but I think it was Claydog who put it well. It seems to be strictly based on ratings and not based on situation necessarily. because we were expecting at least a few situations where you might walk somebody to create a force play. You mentioned about 55 discords. That's so true. I've never used Discord until I started watching Twitch for Perfect Team. And I was like, what? How does this work? I have to be in one Discord for every person I'm watching? Yeah, that's funny, man. All right, so tonight we'll go into Ophi and Stitch. Tomorrow we'll go into Sensei Martian and see the last of his several month long walk. I mean, what an accomplishment. And then Wednesday I'm off, and you'll be seeing Max in the late night. All right. We're gonna rate Ophi and Stitch. Clay Dog played World of Warcraft throughout the pandemic, so the millions discourse part wasn't you. All right, we're gonna rate our favorite Palestinian embroiderer cross stitcher living in Taiwan, Ophi and Stitch.